Hey guys, welcome back to the Wholehearted Journey. Wow. My name is Meredith Hudson. Hello. Wow, we're talking about PCOS. And of course, I'm a PCOS bestie. I am someone that has found out that I had PCOS a couple years back. I don't even know exactly when, but have went through a horrific journey with PCOS and balancing out my hormones. But through the trenches of dealing with this, I made it on the other side, and I now, as of today, has had a consistent period for a year and a half, maybe longer. So I guess I found out I had PCOS 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, something like that. Yeah, that probably is more than math, because now I've had a balanced, regular cycle for almost going on 2 years, if not. It maybe has been 2 years already. I don't even know. I need to look at dates before I do something. But like I said, it's been a minute, and it is something I never thought that I would have. I have for my entire life, I never had a consistent period. Before I got on birth control, I only had a few periods, to be honest. So it wasn't long from when I started my period, like for the first time ever, to getting on birth control, that I got to truly see what my cycle would be. But I only had maybe 3 periods in total before getting on birth control. And of course, they were very distant. I think I had 2 periods in 1 year, my first year after starting my period and so forth. So anyways, long story short, when I got on birth control, they kind of labeled that as normal because it was so new that, it takes a little bit for your body to truly adjust and have like a consistent period. I'm assuming that is probably true, probably not to the extreme of what mine was, but going on to birth control, I had no idea I had PCOS. And it wasn't until I got off of my birth control, and after I was off of it for a year, that I did then realized I had PCOS and went through all the testing for it. And there's multiple reasons for that. A lot of times when people get off birth control, especially after being on it for so long, you might have this almost like fake PCOS, where it's like your body's giving all the signs that you have PCOS, but it's really just your body readjusting to no longer be on birth control and kind of just trying to figure out how to go through all the phases of your cycle on its own without the medication basically telling your body what to do. Because that's basically what birth control is. Birth control and many different forms of it. And of course, some have different roles, like more intense roles into your hormonal or your hormones based off of if it's hormonal or not. It basically tells your body what to do, when to start your period, not to ovulate, it basically just forces your body to go through the motions just to do the dang thing, but also prevent you from getting pregnant. Okay. So anyways, I was on birth control for about 13 years. Even on the pill, my period was inconsistent, which was not normal. And I remember my OBGYN being like, that's weird. That's kind of where it stopped. There was no, maybe we should do testing. Maybe there should be something that we should look into. Yeah, none of that happened. It was more of, that's weird. You probably shouldn't be late to your period when you're taking birth control. So when I got off birth control, that was when I discovered, I'm having basically the same periods that I had before getting on birth control. And that was essentially 2 to 3 periods a year. So I went through the whole long journey of going and working with a functional medicine doctor. Extremely expensive, extremely worth it. You can't put a price tag on that. But I remember when I was doing it, I was like, I'm the cheapest person alive, because yes, I could afford it, but 2, I just hate spending that type of money and committing to something like that, which is kind of funny. But that's where I was, and just being completely transparent. And I finally did it. I did it anyways. And when I first started working with my functional medicine doctor, we were tackling multiple things. We were tackling my gut health, and then of course my skin was severely broke out, and we were trying to figure out what was going on with my hormones. We discovered that I was severely insulin resistant. I also was dealing with extremely high testosterone, and I of course also had H. pylori. My H. pylori also caused me to have leaky gut, so it was a disaster in my body. Now, it wasn't a disaster because of what I was doing, because what I was doing was the extremist of all healthy things, which was eating the healthiest I've ever ate my entire life, training extremely consistently, prioritizing my stress. Like this was the healthiest I've ever been, but yet one of the most unhealthiest places I've ever been health-wise, besides before when I was like 260 pounds. But for where I was at in my life, I shouldn't be dealing with all these issues, and I was. And it was mainly, or not mainly, it was because of my gut health. So the reason why I'm bringing all this up is because it plays a huge role in PCOS, and it is never discussed, and that is your gut health with PCOS. Now, I don't know if we're going to go super deep into that because that as a whole episode could be a thing, but I will talk about why it's important, because essentially everything that we talk about in this podcast about PCOS and managing your PCOS can be completely pointless and do absolutely nothing for you if you are struggling with an underlying issue in your gut. Because you don't have to be doing anything wrong. You can be eating extremely healthy but contract a certain bacteria like H. pylori that is completely out of your control, that can completely wreck your gut health. And your gut health makes up 70% of your hormones. So it doesn't matter how much you're doing, like eating clean and working out and taking care of your health. And it doesn't matter, because your gut health will essentially play the biggest role in how you maintain your and balance out your hormones. And when we're talking about PCOS here, manage your symptoms. And I will say this was the biggest blessing I think in my health journey ever. It taught me so much. It taught me that no matter how hard you try, if your hormones are out of whack, it can make losing weight pretty almost impossible. And the reason why I say that is because I tried 500 times more. Like I worked way harder trying to lose weight when I was dealing with my hormones being out of whack to see results and to lose weight, because I kind of got to a place where I was like, well, kind of little gaining, and I wasn't in a happy spot, that I wanted to be, and so forth, which a lot of it was inflammation, but it still was like I was gaining weight very easily. But no matter what I did and how perfect I was and the cleanest I've ever ate and the best I've ever trained, my body wouldn't respond. And I knew something was wrong with that. Like I knew that it wasn't a me thing, because I'm doing way more than I ever had versus what I implemented on my 120 pound weight loss journey. So I learned that lesson. So every time, I don't even know how to cram this all together, because this is such a heavy topic, but every time I see a man, especially a man, but anybody, I don't care if you're a male or woman or whatever, if I see a video and someone say, it's calories in, calories out, it doesn't matter, it's not hormonal. If you are not losing weight, I promise you it's not because your hormones, because that doesn't play a role, because it is all about calories in, calories out. I literally want to just choke them out. Sorry, that's aggressive. But it fires me up, because it's no, that's false. You cannot sit here and tell me that. And so I love working with girls who struggle with hormones and hormonal imbalances, because I know how to care for those people and I know how to get them results. And it's not telling them calories in, calories out. No. Ew, absolutely not. I can promise you that. But that is the advice that is given by probably 90% of health coaches, doctors. Shoot, doctors will tell people with PCOS to eat under 1,200 calories, which makes PCOS 500 times worse, and it will affect your gut. So this topic makes me angry, because people like us get mistreated and misguided. And if I didn't, I just got really lucky. I'm not going to lie. I got really lucky. One, I am very well-rounded in nutrition, very well-rounded in women's health. I already had that knowledge. And then the second piece that I really had was the functional medicine doctor that just basically helped me learn even more about my health, and just was the cherry on top of just the experience. It was kind of she was, I don't even know how to explain it. she has made me a better coach. Like working with her, she made me a better coach because like it was just the way that she went about it. And of course, me and her agreed on everything from like, she didn't even have to tell me how to eat because I told her how to eat, like, or how I was already eating. And she was like, that's perfect. I would tell her what I was already implementing. And she's like, that's perfect. That's perfect. So really the supplementation and the, I don't know, the encouragement, and then the, of course, treating my H. pylori, which takes antibiotics, like that's bacteria. So like, I had to do multiple rounds of like antibiotics, and then she had me do like a gut reset to like balance my bacteria back out within my, gut health and so forth. So anyways, long story short, but we did the testing. So I learned so much about Dutch testing. I learned so much about GI testing, but I learned how much the gut and the hormones intervene. Let me like cancel this out. There's some work stuff going on over here. So I realized how important gut health and hormone health were. So if you have a hormonal imbalance, the moral of the story here is if you have a hormonal imbalance, you better make sure you check your gut, because if you treat your hormones, but you have something off in your gut, it's, again, pointless. Literally pointless. And that's why so many people turn to medication, because they're like, I'm prioritizing my nutrition. I'm doing all the right things. I'm managing my stress. Like I'm doing everything perfectly, but like my hormones are not like balancing out. Like my periods are still out of whack. I'm still getting like these cysts on my ovaries. I'm still struggling with like cyst ruptures that are extremely painful. Like I'm growing the facial hair. I have the severe acne. I'm doing all these things. And it's like, yeah, I bet it's because your doctor probably didn't tell you, I don't know, let's check your gut first before you really try to do anything else, because that most of the time will be the biggest driver as to why your PCOS symptoms are out of whack. I am telling you right now, 9 times out of 10, if I have a client that is not seeing results and she's dealing with severe like PCOS symptoms and chronic inflammation and this and that, I can tell within their check-in when they have something off in their gut. And I will always tell them, I need you to go get your gut checked. I will tell them what tests to get done, how to go through the exact like situations. I've sent like recommendations. And so for the people, yes, it can be expensive, but it's the best thing that you can ever do for your health. You just got to make sure you go to the right person, because some people will literally be a waste of time. I had a client one time go to a doctor, and she literally went in there like, I'm sorry, this is like I'm still very mad about it. And I swear it was like maybe a year and a half ago. She went and told the doctor like, hey, I need to get my gut checked and so forth. And he basically was like, how about we put you on anxiety medication? She was like, what? Anyways, basically he was trying to say that she just had anxiety and like nothing was wrong with her, and basically like gaslit her, and like she left with not, of course, being able to get tested, like getting her gut checked, which is so insane that it's so difficult just to get a stool test done. Like, come on, bro, let me I'm sorry. Why did I cuss? No, I haven't cussed in so long. It's been months. It makes me sad. I did not mean to cuss. No. See, I'm angry. Angry brings out the worst in me. I have not cussed in like probably 3 months. That makes me sad. Anyways, let me poop in a little bucket and send it off to get it tested. That is literally no elbow grease for you. Like, I don't know. It just makes me mad. So anyways, she had to go through a whole process. We found the right person, and luckily she was able to actually get help, and of course found out that she had leaky gut. And leaky gut essentially makes your PCOS symptoms way, way, way bad. So let's get to the point of this episode. The biggest things that we're going to talk about in this episode is, what is PCOS? What are the underlying drivers of PCOS? What do you need to do to manage PCOS? The basics. And the biggest PCOS myth. We're already 15 minutes in. I've already had a rage. So like, okay, let's just go. First, what is PCOS? Well, the real medical term is polycystic ovary syndrome. And what it is a hormonal condition that affects how women's ovaries functions. Okay. That's the medical term, medical like basic. It is not curable. It is something that is not curable, but you basically can quote unquote cure it, because you can manage your symptoms so much that they are almost like completely non-existent. Like me, I pretty much have non-existent symptoms unless I step out of the lines, out of all the things I'm going to list in here that basically are the underlying drivers of making PCOS worse and causing you all these issues. And so it is one of those things. It's like, just like anything, if you lose weight, you gotta keep showing up for yourself. You can't just go back to eating donuts every single morning and hot Cheetos with a gallon of milk like I did. Okay? Wow. Not to call myself out, but gosh. I didn't eat donuts. I had clotted cheese in the morning. They called me the donut bride in an article one time that still makes me mad, but it was kolaches. I had kolaches, bro. The jalapeno and cheese kolaches. I didn't have no donuts. I did have like the Eclair, the chocolate Eclair a couple times, but get off me, bro. You know? Anyways, but it's just like weight loss. Like you can't go back to eating like crap and treating your body like crap and not moving and not doing anything and just expect yourself to stay at this weight loss. So it's the same thing with PCOS. Like you got to keep showing up for yourself in the way to manage your symptoms and keep that up if you want your symptoms to be managed. If not, you're going to go back to square one where your period is all over the place. You're getting cysts on your ovaries because your body is getting stuck in that follicular phase of when it's releasing. Anyways, when you're going through ovulation, that's pretty much what it is. And then you're going to get, again, start up with the facial hair again, high testosterone, chronic like cystic acne, hormonal acne, like inflammation out the booty. And so that's always my first symptom. It's like when I'm getting out of whack is my inflammation. I notice inflammation in my body, and that's when I'm like, oh, rear vac, girl. Because as soon as I get inflammation, I start getting acne. As soon as I get acne, I go straight to press. Okay, so there's a lot that you just gotta make sure you're doing, and so forth. So that is that. Now, what are the underlying drivers of PCOS? Very first one, most common, is insulin resistant. Not everyone with PCOS has insulin resistant, or insulin resistance, but most people who are PCOS do have insulin resistant. Okay. And so this is a lot of times where people are like, you're automatically put on some medication. And it's like, no, you don't need to be put on a medication. I am not against it at anything. Like I believe that like metformin, is extremely beneficial. Supposedly there's even like studies based off of what my OBGYN says is that it helps with people avoiding miscarriages. I try to ask her to break that down more into what she meant by that, because metformin essentially helps you with your insulin levels. So like she mentioned putting me on metformin for a second there just to be safe to avoid miscarriages, since me and Steven are trying to, we're going to start having a baby. We haven't started trying yet. We're going to start having a baby here probably in May. I keep postponing it. I know, I'm so bad, but we haven't started trying yet. But when we start trying, she was like, you should start being on metformin. And I asked her, I was like, well, metformin is basically helps people with insulin resistance and like making sure that your insulin levels are doing what it needs to do. But like what other factors come into play within that medication that could help? And she didn't actually answer it. So I still don't know. And based off of the research I can personally do on my own, there's no other function that comes with that. And I'm not insulin resistant anymore. I don't have issues with my blood sugar. If anything, I have to ensure that I eat enough carbs and stuff throughout the day, because if not, I will dip too low. So it went from one extreme to another, right? And so anyways, but every time someone hears, oh, I'm insulin resistant and you're mixed with PCOS, which will be a big chunk of this, a lot of people just will automatically say, oh, you have to be on medication to turn that around. And it's like, actually, no. I personally would recommend you trying to flip this around yourself first, because it really, like, insulin resistance is so common. Like, so many people have insulin resistance. Like, I think a huge scheme of us, especially in America, are insulin resistant. It's so easy to be insulin resistant. And insulin resistance, all it is basically you've been consuming too much sugar and you've been having a lot of like glucose spikes. Maybe you ate a lot. Like me, I used to eat processed food all the time. Like my sugar intake used to be so high. So yeah, I was insulin resistant before my journey. And then when my gut health got really funky and I got leaky gut, long story, I got insulin resistance again because my body wasn't absorbing the vitamins and the minerals that I was eating, and I was more resistant to having those spikes in my insulin levels being wonky. So that's the only reason why I was insulin resistant after my journey. It wasn't because I was eating a lot of sugar. It was because of like just everything going on in my gut, which is another reason why I'm trying to tell you, if you have PCOS, you need to check your gut, because if your gut is off and you have poor gut health because of bacteria, because of whatever reason, and you do not address that, one, you are more receptive to cancer. I am a firm believer, and it's not just a firm believer, like colon cancer, the amount of people who are getting colon cancer as the years go on, the numbers are scary of how fast that is progressing. But I personally believe a lot of cancer is driven from poor gut health, because your gut health makes up a huge part of your health. It is like literally the engine to your body, kind of. And that's just how I see it. And we can talk about that in 500 different ways, but that's why I'm trying to tell you, like, if you have poor gut health, you're going to be more likely insulin resistant. That's just kind of how it works, because poor gut health also leads to leaky gut, and that also interferes with your blood sugar and the absorption of your macronutrients. And you're not going to be absorbing the vitamins. So you're going to be deficient. You're going to be depleted. You're going to be vitamin depleted. So you see how this becomes like this ripple effect of like, why try to focus on hormones and doing all these things if you don't know what your gut health looks like yet? Okay, feel me? So I didn't know we were going to go into a gut health focus on this episode, but there we go. So we might have to condense a few of this, okay? So most common underlying issues is insulin resistance, hormonal imbalances, especially if you have elevated androgens like testosterone. This also will interfere with your ovulation. That is extremely common. And insulin resistance and testosterone go hand in hand too. If you're insulin resistant, more likely you're going to have high testosterone. Not always, but most of the time. It affects those androgens. Chronic inflammation, same thing. If you're insulin resistant and you have issues with blood sugar, guess what? You're going to have a lot of inflammation. Your inflammatory markers are going to be high. So inflammation, stress, same thing. That's going to be mental or physical stress. But guess what also drives physical stress in the body? Blood sugar. And so when you think of all this, I want you to think of the most important thing when it comes to PCOS is understanding, is my gut health healthy? Then the second thing is understanding what am I insulin resistant? What is my blood sugar looking like? And then inflammation. They all pile on top of each other. Like me, my biggest success story when it comes to how I was able to really manage my PCOS was by managing my gut health, like healing my gut. Then from there, it was easy. Everything I was implementing, like the ingredients I was eating, the nutrition plan that I was focusing on, like I focused on an anti-inflammatory nutrition plan, just like what I provide for my clients. All my PCOS girlies, for the most part, are on an anti-inflammatory nutrition plan. I even have people who are pregnant, or people who are recovering from surgery, whatever, like, again, just had a baby, like on anti-inflammatory. I have so many people. And if you have an autoimmune, you're going to be more likely on an anti-inflammatory nutrition plan. So I have a lot of people on that. But I was already doing all the right things. It just wasn't working because my gut was trashed. So because of everything I was incorporating, and then discovering my gut, and then treating my gut, then it all came around, and finally, boom, I now have a consistent period. I am now fertile. I now have the ability to actually have a family, and my life completely changed. And like everything I learned about hormones changed, because there's no longer this like concept of manage your stress, eat this, eat that. I actually got to live, not what it was just like to have a hormonal imbalance and how freaking hard that was, but I also got to experience just how much your gut health impacts your hormones and your just ability to turn your health around. It was freaking life-changing. I was so glad I went through that journey. It was the worst journey ever, but it was worth it. I mean, I learned so much. So I had so much I wanted to cover in this, but we might have to make this like multiple episodes, but let's just see how far I can get. So like I said, the biggest thing when it comes to PCOS, when it comes to like things that you need to start prioritizing to start your journey towards balancing out your body, your hormones, and managing these dang symptoms, because PCOS symptoms are painful. Like We're dealing with inflammation. We never know when we're going to start a period. We're like, and I'm talking about inflammation that is painful. Like we're bloated. Like we just don't even look like ourselves. We're just so inflamed. We're getting poor sleep and everything. We're just being affected. And acne, so like some people are just so horrifically like affected by acne, and then facial hair, and it's just like hard. And then obviously like it just impacts your confidence. And if you're trying to start a family, you just feel very hopeless. Like you're not able to, like I actually at one point tried to just accept, well, maybe I won't ever have kids. Like I'm never going to have a consistent period, and boom. Nah, girl, we broke the code. We figured out, we broke the system. First of all, we found the code, we made the code, and we made it happen. I don't even know what is you know what I'm trying to say here. Okay. We cracked the code. We cracked the code. That's what it is. We cracked the code. We broke the system. We cracked the code. And now we're here. Mama, we made it. 0 to 100. Okay. So anyways, so when it comes to the insulin resistance, first thing is going to be paying attention to your sugar intake. Now, I'm not going to say the exact number of what you need to be eating because that needs to be discussed with your coach. Like if like my clients need to discuss that with me. And so everyone's very different. I'm not going to sit here and be like, this is the golden thing that you need to implement, because it really comes down to your calorie intake, TBH. High fiber is going to be essential because of course it's going to improve your insulin. If your insulin improves and you're like helping your body. Okay. High fiber helps you with slowing down the digestion of your food and breaking things down. And it's not, your body's just not absorbing it and then like pushing it out. So when you are consuming carbs or sugars or whatever, you're not having this like large spike because your body's just absorbing it and rushing through you. Like fiber and protein slows down the digestion. And because of that, it improves your insulin. And remember, how much does your blood sugar affect your body? Remember, it's like a ripple effect. So we can make strides to improving our insulin. We're going to have better overall in return as a ripple effect, right? So your sugar intake and the nutrition that you're consuming and eating high fiber, high protein is essential. With starting the process of balancing out your insulin resistance, of course, I personally recommend eating an anti-inflammatory nutrition plan. I also really like incorporating ingredients that are really high, or not high, but like great to help balance out your hormones too. So there's a few things like that. So if you have elevated androgens like testosterone, that's going to affect your ovulation, which again creates cysts, and you have cysts on your ovaries. But also testosterone is going to give you acne. It's going to create inflammation. It will also, of course, give you facial hair, and you're going to continuously have a irregular period if your testosterone is high. So we want to bring that down, and a lot of that you can incorporate by honestly your nutrition. So high fiber again is going to again focus on bringing that insulin down, lowering your androgens. Soy foods like edamame, I love edamame. So this was like kind of a win for me. Soy foods are going to be really great. It helps bring down testosterone. Edamame is a great one. Flax seeds, I have flax seeds every single morning in my oatmeal. I do about 10 grams of flax seeds in my oatmeal every single morning. You can add that into a smoothie, whatever. I think it's just always really easy just putting it in my oatmeal, and it's actually kind of good. I do the ground flax seeds. Turmeric is really good. I used to do turmeric shots. I don't actually incorporate turmeric that much. I personally didn't see a change in it, but some people swear by turmeric. You can do turmeric shots. You can make your own turmeric shots. Like, go for it if you want to be that bestie. I think that if you wanted to be really great doing like celery juice and turmeric and like adding in kind of like some of that would be fire. I just personally never did or stayed consistent with it. Biggest one is drinking spearmint tea or taking spearmint tea capsules. Spearmint capsules. I used to do tea every morning and night, but I would be very inconsistent with it. And it is something that you need to be extremely consistent. Like, do not miss a day. Be consistent in this. This is huge. So I personally had to do capsules. And since doing the capsules, it has been life-changing. I will link it into the description here. because, and if you're in my program, just send a message. If you're watching this podcast actually in my program, send me a message or send us a message in the app, and we will send over the link of the spearmint capsules I personally take. Because if you read the reviews on these Amazon spearmint capsules, it will literally hype you up so much. Like, people are so obsessed with them, and I'm very much obsessed with them, and they have been game changer for me. Now, chronic inflammation. This is going to be really trying to have a moderation processed food, like eating out and eating packaged stuff and just like eating kind of like low key junk, y'all. I'm just going to be honest with you. You will not see progress with your PCOS. I know that's bummer, but it's just true. I think the hardest thing about, one, being someone that struggles with their weight, but then two, someone that struggles with a hormonal imbalance, is having to get to a place and accepting the fact that you're different. And I've had to accept that very, 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 very long time ago, where when I was a girl in elementary who was very active and ate the same amount of food that my friends ate and was doing nothing wrong, but yet was 3 times their size and being picked on for my body, I had to swallow the pill and say, I'm different. And which means that life is going to be more difficult. And it makes me want to cry. It makes me like teary-eyed every time I think about it, because like, that's hard. Like, some people will never understand how hard that is. Like, that we have to work 100 times more than someone that just like gets to live life. Like, there are so many people I know who eat junk food and drink alcohol like almost every day and like never work out, do absolutely nothing healthy, but yet have a better body than me. Like, I know some people who legitimately have abs, and I'm just like, I can't even fathom that. Because like, if I drink too much coffee in one day, I might miss my period. If it's the week of my ovulation, I don't manage my stress and take less load of my meetings and like make sure I prioritize like calming my body and everything, like I might not have a true ovulation. If I eat like crap, I might gain back my, like weight. It's just like, it's unfair. It is. It freaking sucks. But like, you gotta like woman up, and we gotta come together and say, hey, I know this sucks. I know that this is your reality, but here's the thing. You're not alone. You and I, we're face to face right here. You're listening to me right now. We're in this together. You're not in this alone. And I want you to remember that every day that you're going through this journey and you're struggling and you're like, this sucks. This is so hard. Like, why do I have to do this? I want you to remember that like, I'm also doing the same thing. And every single person that you know and that you see who's also struggling with PCOS is also having to choose themselves and care for themselves every single day. So yes, I understand, like, some people are just so lucky and they will never understand what it takes to live in our life and how hard we have to fight to have our health under control. But you know what? I see it as a blessing, to be honest. After like really going through everything, although it's still hard and I still have to manage myself, and it's not hard to me now. Like, this is just life. This is just going through the motions, and this is normal to me. But like, I've had to make hard sacrifices. Like, I don't drink alcohol. A big reason I don't drink alcohol is because it jacks me up. It was really playing a role in my PCOS. And if I want a family, it was something I needed to sacrifice in order to have a healthy, consistent period, because it wasn't worth putting myself in a position where I could be higher risk of miscarriages. And even doing everything perfect, that could still very much be true for me. But like, it's just getting to a place of being like, I just had to make harder decisions versus other people, and that's fine. I mean, but here's the thing. That's always gonna be the case. I'm blessed. I can sit here and be like, hey man, this sucks. There's so much work I have to put in, but like, I have both my arms, both my legs. Like, I can speak, I can hear, I can see. And so someone's always gonna have it more difficult than us. Like, some people get to wake up and not be able to see who they're talking to. Or, I say not to get that deep, but like, you sometimes got to get out of your head and say, all right, I know this sucks, but I'm going to get through it and it's going to be fine. So what was I going with that ranting? Sometimes we just need to hear that. And it brings me back to reality, and it helps me be grateful for even the biggest struggles and stressors in my life. But stress. Let's talk about stress. I don't know. Wait, hold on. Okay. We were all totally on. Okay. Let's get back to it. That was deep. I'm going to have to cut that out. Maybe that was too deep. Maybe I'll keep it in. Okay. Second thing is overtraining is not going to be your friend. I cannot tell you how many times I have a PCOS friend or client come into my program and they're just like, I'm working out so much. Like, I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, scale's constantly going up. I'm like, yeah, are you super inflamed? Yeah, I'm super inflamed. Probably because you're doing way too much for your body. I used to weight train 6 days a week, and now I can really only weight train like 3 to 4 days a week. I do Pilates as low impact. I don't run. I don't do anything high intensity. I don't do any HIIT workouts. Like we have to manage like not doing high intensity, doing more low impact, listening to our body and understanding like our recovery and our rest is just as important as our workouts. And that's the case for everybody, but it's even more so for someone that struggles with PCOS. Your body's just more sensitive. You just got to remember you're very sensitive. And so you have to just nurture your body like a newborn baby. It's kind of how I look at it. Like, I'm just a little sensitive bestie. She cute, but she can't be overdone. She can't be overcooked, okay? So keep me at medium rare, okay? So that's a huge one. Overtraining, like I said, try not to do anything high intensity. The best form of cardio is going to be like incline walking, even the Stairmaster, but like not to where you're dying on the Stairmaster. Kind of keep it slow at your pace where you're not like, again, where it's not high intensity, your heart rate's not crazy high. Walking is going to be the best form of cardio for you. Weight training will be your best friend, especially if you have high testosterone, bro. Take advantage of that. Like I did. I gained 7 pounds during my weight loss journey because my high T, I'm sure. Okay, period. Actually, I don't know if my testosterone was high during my weight loss journey because I was technically on birth control. And so I don't really know how that worked. I don't really know. I don't think I did. I think I would have had signs that my testosterone was high. But regardless, I take advantage of it now. Period. And then, of course, the biggest thing for bringing down your inflammation and everything too, on top of this, is going to be focusing on eating an anti-inflammatory diet. So you're going to kind of see that there's certain patterns that keep repeating certain things, and it's because they all intercycle together. So I kind of just want to make sure you know, like chronic inflammation, yes, you can eat an anti-inflammatory diet, but it's also going to be important for your insulin resistance. Resistance is also going to be very important for your testosterone. It's also going to be important for your stress, which is my next one. So stress, focusing both on your mental and physical stress. I think everyone always thinks of stress as just like a mental thing. And it's like, man, was today a stressful day? Like, one, a lot of times you can't even identify that you had a stressful day. I didn't even realize like my stress levels were high mentally wise, I guess, until I got an Oura ring and I realized like, ew, I do not manage stress well. And so I had to learn how to like start actually caring for that. But this is also physical stress, and physical stress, again, I know I keep being like a broken record here, but physical stress is going to be overtraining. Physical stress is under eating. Physical stress is not recovering and like resting at all, and so forth. It's also going to be drinking alcohol. It's over consuming caffeine. I don't drink, as y'all know, I drink matcha. I don't drink like coffee. I still drink a latte every now and then. I'm not like, I don't know. I'm not, the extremist, but like, and I will be honest, my matcha powder that I'd be adding to my matcha lattes are a lot. So I don't even know. I might be drinking more caffeine than technically a latte is because I'm insane. I'm just delusional. But caffeine intake, I'm not having multiple cups of coffee a day is what I'm saying. Like one matcha or one latte, whatever it is I decide, most of the time matcha a day. Do not overextend that. I do not drink pre-workout. That was something I definitely had to cut out because pre-workout has a crap ton of caffeine in it. I do natural caffeine, which is going to be usually driven and coming from L-theanine, I don't know, comment below, remind me when you're listening to this, and I'll comment whatever my pre-workout is, okay? I'll do that for you, but I'm not probably going to put it in the description. Just comment it and I'll do it. For anyone that's interested in that. But yeah, there's caffeine free, there's natural caffeine. But yeah, staying away from like caffeine as much as possible and not overdoing it. It's also going to be not getting enough sleep. And this is where it's really hard. Like I feel so bad a lot of times for my mamas who are like really, really struggling to just like get good sleep. It's just gonna be something that you just have to do what you can, but your sleep is obviously going to be a massive one. Yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, I know there's a lot of word vomit. We're sitting at the 40-minute mark now, so let's go straight into and closing at the biggest PCOS myth. Oh, this makes me want to pull my hair out. Is that if you have PCOS, you can't eat carbs. I literally want to just like, every time I hear it, like take me out. One, because carbs are essential for balancing out your blood sugar. So the reason why they say carbs are bad for PCOS is because most people who have PCOS are insulin resistant, which by the way, not everyone who has PCOS is insulin resistant, because some people, it just might be because of them eating badly. And like, that's just throwing their whole system off, but maybe they're not technically insulin resistant, or maybe they're dealing with something else. Okay. But, that's why they tell you to cut out carbs and blah, blah, blah. It's just an easy way of just being like, I don't think that you are capable of anything difficult. So let me just tell you not to eat any carbs, just to make this simple, because you obviously can't understand what I would, have you do if I, were to actually explain it. Whatever. No. Cutting out carbs essentially will actually make the problem more difficult. Every time I know someone that has PCOS and they cut out carbs, it is very difficult for them to maintain their weight. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But essentially, like, in order to have blood sugar regulation, like for your blood sugar to be regulated, especially throughout your cycle, you need carbs. You have to have carbs. And I actually did a masterclass with my clients, 2 weeks ago about this, where it was like certain parts of your cycle as a woman, like requires actually a more percentage of your calories to go towards carbs, aka going to be mainly in your luteal phase. Like there's a reason why you crave it. Do you think that our bodies are just like random? No. Why do you think you're craving it? It's one, because your serotonin is down, and serotonin essentially, it makes you have that urge wanting to your body naturally is like, I need carbs to help bring up those serotonin levels, but your body actually needs carbs to balance out blood sugar. So if you were to go low carb, you're essentially putting more stress on your body, and it makes balancing out your cycle more difficult. You feel me? So it's just being responsible with what carbs you're eating. Like, don't eat popsicles and Hershey's and all these sweets and syrup on pancakes in the morning. No, make sure your carbs are fruits and veggies and potatoes and high fibrous like carbs. Like, there's so many different forms of carbs and so forth. Like, I'm not over here eating like chips and like whatever, like crap. I'm eating a crap ton of potatoes. I'm eating a little bit of some rice, but I'm getting a lot of high fibrous like berries and some veggies in there. Like, that's my carb sources. And I try to get like over, I don't know, around 250 grams of carbs a day is essentially what I do. And so forth. So yeah, and I have to have that. And so that's what I do with all my clients. I don't have one person in my program, unless they were recommended and their doctor told them otherwise, that eats low carb as a PCOS. Really. And they all have had incredible, or my transformation, my girlies who have PCOS have had incredible transformations on high carb. It's like everyone, I don't treat them different. I don't change their macros and say you need to eat keto if you're PCOS. No, that's like literally the opposite thing I would ever do. Like the completely wrong path. So anyways, I don't know if my camera's about to die on me or not. I don't know. It said 1 minute. I don't really know what 1 minute means in the corner. I don't know if that means 1 minute of like space. Hold on. Pause. Okay. I don't really know what, I think it was the space thing. But anyways, I know that this was a lot. Hopefully it makes a little bit of sense. But as you can tell, PCOS is a massive topic. And it's one that I'm very, very passionate about. But I have to be honest, it's something I do individually, like with clients, like, and it's not a one size fits all. It's like like a weight loss journey in general is not a one size fits all. So we're talking about a hormonal imbalance, especially like PCOS, like that's a huge thing. So everyone's very different, but the fundamentals are the same. Like balance out your blood sugar, help ensure that your gut health is healthy, and prioritize inflammation in the body and prioritize stress. But that is, and you've heard me probably say that a million times, but that's kind of the fundamentals of real health. And that's why my three pillars are cortisol levels, or cortisol, inflammation, and blood sugar, because that's going to be that's the mixture of disaster. If you aren't prioritizing those three things, yeah, it's a mixture of disaster, but especially with PCOS. And so I'm a success story. Let me be someone that just motivates you in the sense of being like, understanding that one day you can be told, hey, it's not possible for you. And I know I don't have a child yet or anything, but like I know my health and everything. And I get to see truly what I do the Dutch test and everything. Like I'm fertile myrtle, okay? And so I feel very confident for the future and where I'm going and so forth, but and starting a family. But anyways, have a consistent period. It's been incredible. I've subsided all of my symptoms. I feel completely free from PCOS. And it is such a freeing experience because when you're in the thick of it, whoo, it really does suck. And I talk to women every day who are in the thick of it and coming into my program and getting started. And I'm like, you just gotta keep having hope because man, it's worth the fight. It is. And you'll be grateful that you went through it when you get to the end of it. But you just gotta stay in. You just gotta hang in there, Captain. I would highly, actually, really, really recommend, like if you know someone with PCOS, you should send them this. I told y'all, every time that we do a podcast together, my dog's feeder goes off. She's just like sitting there like, wait, is that me? Girl, yes, that's you. You literally hear that like 4 times a day. My dog does eat 4 times a day. I have it spaced out like once in the morning, once in the early afternoon, once in like the midday, and then at night. Like I make sure my dog isn't just being like fed two large meals. We need to break it up because I think she got a thyroid issue. She just got tested today though. Anyways, but send them this podcast. Be a good friend, send it to them. If you like know of a friend that maybe their friend has PCOS or something, like and needs to listen to this, like send them to it. Like this can be really, really helpful. PCOS can feel very lonely. Like I said, gosh, the horrific advice I've heard from like doctors or people, I'm not trying to hate on anything, but like goodness, makes me very concerned. You do not have to be on a medication. And if you are, there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Because managing PCOS can feel horrific and in some cases can be so severe where medication does have to be a thing. But if you are someone that's like, man, I don't want to be on medication, or you don't want to be on medication because you were trying to start a family, or you're just maybe on medication and you're tired of it, like I need you to understand that you don't have to be on it to regulate it and to be free from symptoms. I never was. And what's it called? My mind's blanking. You also should never eat under 1,200 calories to lose weight if you have PCOS, which I personally heard a million times in my life. And so many doctors have said, you do not need to cut out carbs. That will literally fight against you. So it's a battlefield out there. And I also think that they just, I don't know. I don't think they really like people like us figuring out how to manage it, TBH. I bet like health coaches like me are probably I don't know. They probably hate us because we're actually trying to get to the root of the issue. But, you know, that's not going to be our fate. We're going to find a way. We're going to do the work. We're going to put it in. If you're listening to this podcast, like you're already mentally doing something that so many people choose not to do, and that's educate themselves. So you should be very proud. I'm proud of you. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. I am on YouTube. I am on Spotify and Apple. Follow me on Instagram if for some cool reason you found me on this platform. I'm also on TikTok, randomly on Facebook, but I do not ever get on Facebook, so just fair warning. I do. I'm just like, my Instagram is my main page. And rate my channel, comment, engage, whatever it is, like, means the most to me. I love you guys. I'm so glad that y'all listen to me yap. And this might be my longest episode yet. So if you stayed all the way till the end, you are really a real MVP and the real GOAT. So, mwah, I love y'all. We'll do multiple series about the PCOS. But for now, I'll see y'all next Tuesday. Bye.